Okay, that was the Rocky theme song. Hey YouTubers, so today I'll be reviewing all the Rocky movies. Directed by, well, the first movie is directed by the guy who did Karate Kid, John G. Avildsen. And the other one's actually, directed by Sylvester Stallone himself. Now, the first movie actually started Sylvester Stallone's career. He was an unknown actor. He was in his 20s. He was young. But Rocky made him on, like, the A-list and stuff. Yeah. Most of the Rocky movies are pretty good. Some of them are just so fantastical. It's like, it gets unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, let's get with the first movie. The first movie is basically just about a down on his luck boxer who eventually decides he wants to get trained how to be a good boxer and all that stuff. And, he fights Apollo Creed and stuff. Yeah. Now, the first movie is pretty long. But, in those days, movies were really long. But it's a pretty good movie. It's a good origin story for Rocky. And it's good to see Apollo Creed. It makes the Creed movies make more sense. Yeah. Yeah. Apollo Creed is definitely, he's kind of he's a jerk in the first two movies. Yeah. Especially because, he wants a rematch in the second movie. And he says, you didn't beat me, you got lucky. I mean, they call Rocky the Italian stallion, and that's what he calls him as. He says, I want round two stallion. Yeah. He meets a girl named Adrian. Where do you think Adrian came from? Yeah. Basically, she works at this pet shop. He likes her, but she's like this shy person. He knows the brother, though, her brother Paulie, who he acts like he doesn't care for his sister, but he really does. And he finally gets to ask her out, and she's freaking out. She says, "I don't want to go, Paulie." And Rocky convinced her to go on a date and stuff. Yeah. She didn't want to go into his apartment and stuff. Yeah. Let's talk about the trainer. I like him. He's hilarious. He's the classic trainer that's not gonna take people's crap and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. But the ending scene, I like the boxing scene. It's not as good as Creed because at the time it came out, not too many boxing movies were good. They didn't really have too many boxing movies at those times. Now, I would give Rocky, the first one, an A. Only reason I'm not really going in depth with the movie because I'm trying to do all the movies. But that's Rocky. Yeah. And in Rocky 2, like I said, he wants, what's his name? I just said his name. Apollo Creed, yeah, he wants a rematch. And everything would happen in the hospital. They're in the hospital for like 4 days because Rocky got beat so hard he couldn't see in one of his eyes. Yeah. And you see Apollo Creed's wife, and she says, "No, don't do it." He said, "I want a rematch, you and me." And he says, "I got nothing to prove to you. I'm done." Because basically, how he fights him, um, the guy he was supposed to fight couldn't be there, so he said, "For one day, I'm gonna choose an underdog to beat me." But he didn't expect Rocky to beat him. He just thought it would be good press for him. Like, he's a sore loser. He didn't know he was ever gonna lose. So Rocky eventually says fine. He finally gets married to Adrian and stuff. There's this short wedding because they don't know that many people. Yeah. A little bit of Adrian's origin because the first movie they just said, I guess it seems like her father didn't like her before he died and stuff. And we know a little bit about Rocky. Like, basically his dad called him stupid, so he should use his fists instead. And then it was reversed. Adrian's dad said the same thing to her. You're not strong, so be smart and all that stuff. Yeah. Now Rocky 2, it's basically just the same movie again. But the first Rocky was pretty good, so I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what all the Rocky movies say. And that's basically the plot of almost every movie. Rocky, he punches a guy, he loses, then he gets back up, he gets trained again, and then in the end of the movie, he gets punched. He finally beats the guy. And that's basically every Rocky movie. Rocky 4 takes it to another level. So, Apollo Creed gets punched to death. Like, one punch killed him. What is he, Superman? Yeah. Ivan Drago, the Russian. And because they finally say the Russians are going to finally compete in boxing, because they didn't do that before. End of the movie, Rocky makes a big speech about, if I can change, everyone can change. It's the most 80s movie out there. It's a montage on montage on montage. It's basically Montage the movie. When Rocky going to Russia and doing a montage and treating Ivan Drago like he's basically like a super soldier. Like they use technology to see how strong he is. And people keep saying one punch will actually kill a person. What the heck? Is this not a superhero movie? And James Brown even singing? He was trying to taunt Drago, and he was dancing to James Brown. The third one's crazy because it has Hulk Hogan, who basically said, "I want to fight you, Rocky," and Rocky gets punched, because he's a wrestler. Rocky jumps on him and he keeps punching, and punching. He gets thrown down. He gets thrown like a rag doll. He's like, "Ah, shoot." Yeah. And basically, they jump out of the ring, and he's trying to go chase Rocky. And he just jumps in the ring. He said, "You know what? I'm going to punch him." And he punches him and punches him. And after that, he fights Mr. T, who's the main villain. He keeps saying he's going to retire. And he even gets a statue in his honor of in the first movie when he did the montage, and he was running up the building. Yeah, they put it up there. And, the Rocky theme song that we hear in almost every movie. And his trainer, he dies because, he's like an old man. That's why he told him he retired. He said, "Kid, retire." And he said, "I will." But, when the guy says, Mr. T was telling him, and he basically was saying, "You're nothing. You're just a, pretty face. You can't actually defeat me." And he says, he tells his trainer guy that, he's going to do it with or without him. But he just died because he was really old and he had health problems and stuff. Yeah, and he was Mick, that's his name, Mick, and he was really pissed and all that stuff. Yeah. So, he gets trained by the guy who was his mortal enemy in the first two movies because he's such a selfish little jerk. Apollo Creed. Because, before the Rocky 4, because Rocky told him, don't fight him, he's too powerful. And he's like a tough dude. And Apollo Creed says, "I can do this." He got out of retirement. He was sloppy. He was being selfish. He said, "I won't." And he just gets killed. Just one punch. And he just, He doesn't look like he's dead. He just looks like he's passed out. But whatever. And his wife does such a fake scream. That scream is so fake. But what do you expect? It was the 80s and all that crap. Hey, but in Rocky 3, he gets trained by Apollo Creed, and he's running in the beach. He's learning a new way to fight, how Apollo was trained. It's all black gym. And he keeps getting freaked out because, Mick's gone, and he was like, no, Mick. Oh, yeah, and second movie, they had a child. Finally got a new house. Yeah. In the fourth movie, they have a mansion. Third one and the fourth one, they have mansions. The fourth one, they have a robot. What the heck? And it's in love with Polly, and Polly's sitting there because, he always has these freakouts in every one of these movies. And no, 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 no. Second one, Adrian says, you know what, I don't want him to fight, because she's pregnant and all that stuff. And then Rocky 2 gets really crazy, because then he's just suddenly in a coma for all this movie, and that part of the movie drags, just like how Sean Chandler and all those other reviewers say. Yeah, that part does kind of drag. He's reading her poems and stuff. Yeah. Rocky 4, to me, gets a, C. That movie was so 80s. I liked it, but isn't basic. It's not really a good movie. Rocky 4 could not come out today. It would be one of the worst movies ever. It would have been another Dark Phoenix situation. Anyone see X-Men Dark Phoenix? You haven't? Well, yes. That's why you haven't. Because that movie sucks. And Dolph Lundgren, most of his movies, he's pretty much a bland character. He doesn't really talk for the whole movie. There's only one scene that he talks, and it's a teaser trailer of this movie. Have mercy. And Rocky basically has to, he trains with Apollo's old trainer because Apollo's dead and stuff. He goes to his funeral. We see his kids. Adonis Creed's not even born yet. And all that stuff. I think he is. I don't know. The timeline of Rocky 4 is a little iffy. Yeah, man, he looks at Drago, and Drago like, yeah. Apparently he's married, but his wife is basically like a robot. Classic stereotypical Russian person in the movie. Because, yeah, that was, it was the 80s. The Russian characters were bland and didn't really say anything. They were just used to just punch the hero. Eventually, he beats the hero, so Rocky 4 gets a C. Rocky 2, Rocky 2 is basically the exact same movie, except they get married, they have a child, he gets a new house before he gets the mansion. Yeah. But the good news things I like about Rocky 3 and 4, is they basically do the same thing. So basically, Adrian saying, come on, Rocky. And the end of the movie, Rocky says she loves her. And she says she loves him too. Because he was speaking on the TV. He was quietly saying, I love you too. And then the son said the exact same thing in the fourth movie. That's the only thing, and, his friends, they say, we know who Rocky is. And in Rocky 2, he tries to get another job that's not boxing. It was like, this is not a Rocky movie. This is just, no one wants to see Rocky in the meat locker when he trained how to fight in the first movie. What the heck? Yeah. I like it in Rocky 2 when all the kids were following him. That was cool. Yeah. All the kids were running with him. It kind of reminds me of that scene from Forrest Gump. Yeah, that was kind of cool. Rocky 2 gets an A. Because it's basically just a ripoff of the first movie, but if that doesn't bother me, it didn't bother me as much as it did, so that gets an A. So now we're at Rocky 3. Rocky 3 is definitely a middle-of-the-road movie. Ida Drago is the only character you remember from the Rocky movies. They even have a Rocky action figure, but it's from the fourth movie. So the third movie then has two forgettable villains. It's funny seeing Hulk Hogan and Mr. T younger, and yeah. And I feel like because Mr. T was in the A-Team, they wanted to promote him as an actor more. Villains are definitely so forgettable. Mr. T is, he's Mr. T. So that movie just gets a B. Because no, I don't care for Mr. 15. And then we have Rocky 5. Oh my goodness, Rocky 5 is Rocky 5. So Rocky is a trainer. That's not bad because he did it in Creed, but this kid becomes a real jerk. And there's no boxing. I mean, he doesn't box in an arena. Like, if you've ever seen the poster Karate Kid, it says this time it's not a tournament. This time it's real life. And that's basically what the tagline for Rocky 5 is. Because instead, they fight in the streets. Yes, they fight in the streets instead of in an arena. Because the kid he trains gets manipulated by the guy who wants Rocky to be back into boxing. But Rocky still has injuries from the fourth movie. Because, like I said, how crazy Rocky 4 is. The one punch actually killed Apollo Creed, so he did his best to, not die too. So he was in pain. So yeah, it's basically like he trains this kid who wants to be like him, but then the kid becomes evil, gets manipulated by the guy who wants Rocky to go back into boxing. Yeah. And then, he says, I want to, and then he goes into fights like Rocky. They said, ooh, you're not the next Rocky. You're not his. And he's just a hack. You're not going to be a real boxer unless you, fight Rocky. And Rocky he goes to the bar where, we saw Paulie in the first movie. And he basically said, I want to fight you. And he says, in the arena, no. This is personal. Because, he pushed Paulie on the floor and he got pissed. And he just kept punching him and punching him and punching him. And he actually passed out. He thought of Mick. And he just got up and started punching him. He was mad. And the son. Ugh. So he's older. And they apparently lose their fortune. Paulie. He used up all their fortune, people. Because first he wanted to... In the first movie, Rocky used to go from this, con man, work for this con man. Because, Rocky barely had money at that time. Yeah. Because in the first movie, in the first movie, he basically calls the girl, I don't know. The girl is it's this random girl that Rocky knows. That she's hanging out on the corner. And he says, don't be a druggie and all that crap. There's a lot that he said, but I'm not saying those words. If she says, screw you, dude. She'll be important in Rocky Balboa, the next movie we'll review. So basically, the kid gets jealous. I'm talking about Rocky 4. Not talking about the other girl. His son gets jealous. Because they lose their fortune. He's used to being rich because he was rich. He don't remember being rich because he was a baby. And, yeah. So he's basically not used to being on the streets. Go to a terrible school when he's always getting bullied. And Paulie teaches him how to box. Because he said he wants to be like him. But he's still jealous of the other guy Rocky's training. Before, finds he's a bad guy. And he punches his bully in the face. And he says, you want some more? He said, what about you? He said, no, I'm good. Just give him his jacket and say, bye. He makes these two friends. Yeah. And then he's basically saying, you're not a good dad, and you don't really pay attention to me and all that crap. And then the kid Rocky trains, drives away because he's such a jerk now. He says, that's not why I box, dude. Don't really care about the fame and the fortune. I just had to because, I wasn't rich. I mean, I had to support my family and all that crap, and he just drives away. Rocky gets so pissed, he says he's sorry he neglected his son. That kid should be in a CW show. He gets better in the other one because, he's a grown-up and he's tolerable. And he's more relatable than he was as a kid. He's a classic CW kid. Yeah, Rocky 5 it's definitely a movie that did not have to happen. And, Adrian go back to the pet shop too, so, like she did in the first movie. You know, he had a dog that he got from the pet shop. And, yeah. Rocky 5 is definitely. I cannot. It's not a movie I think about that it was good in the theater. Rocky 5 feels like a straight to DVD movie. Yeah, I was like, I don't think Rocky 5, no one saw that movie in the theater. Because it don't look like a movie you see in the theater. It just looks like it's like if they ever made a Rocky TV show. That's what it feels like. The end of a Rocky TV show. That movie also gets like a C. It's not bad, but I wouldn't really watch that movie frequently as I would do with the first one or the fourth one. How 80s that movie is. Yeah. In Rocky 3, Mr. T is in it. That's kind of hilarious, Mr. T. And using the Eye of the Tiger song. It's the Eye of the Tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Yeah. All that good stuff. I mean, we only heard a little bit of that song in Robots. If you've ever seen that movie, Robots, have mercy. And we have Rocky Balboa. Rocky come out of retirement to punch a young kid in the face, who's also a boxer. And they do like this simulation, this video game thing, like what if Rocky actually fought the new generation if he was still young. They keep saying who would win, Rocky or the other kid. Do not know what his opponent is because he's forgettable. The only memorable Rocky villain is Drago. So they basically just fight in the movie. Adrian has died. Polly is working in the meat factory. Eventually gets laid off. Adrian made a restaurant called Adrian's. The little girl that I told you about in the first movie, she's back. She's not the same girl. Delinquent girl. Her husband left her and she has this child, yeah. Who's biracial. It doesn't really matter. I'm just saying he is. Gets him a dog, yeah. All stuff. All I can say is Sylvester Stallone, dang, he looks fit for his age. Like this movie came out in 2006. He was 60 and he was big. At mercy. I mean, it doesn't mean the character Rocky is big. Because people keep saying it's not realistic for an old guy to actually fight a guy who was in his 20s. People keep saying maybe the character Rocky's not in his 60s. They don't really tell you how old Rocky is. And they really don't. We know Sylvester Stallone was 60, but how old was Rocky, the character? Who knows? And the son is played by Jess from Gilmore Girls. Yeah. And he, feels like a shadow because people, they only like him because his dad is Rocky and all that stuff. And he has a restaurant that shows all his fights. Now, we actually see the restaurant in Creed, but it's closed down. Yeah. And he originally fights the kid. He said he wants to do it one last time. And his son said, "Aren't you a little old?" And the trailer is awesome. They have an awesome trailer in this movie. Rocky beating up the kid and all that stuff. He said, "I'm going to take you easy, old man." He probably said, "Don't take it easy on me." And he just beats him up. I mean, we don't know if Rocky actually won in the end of the movie. We don't know. Because in the movie, he said, "Oh, I beat him." I mean, he said, "Oh, I fought. Okay, I quit. I did it wrong last time." And Paulie keeps saying, "Stop looking at the past." And he always goes to his wife's grave and all that stuff. He's not in touch with Apollo's family and all that stuff. Yeah. And Rocky has to get used to a new world that boxing is different now. It's not how it was when he first started. Like, only reason he wanted to fight because he just wanted to prove himself to people. He didn't know he was going to win against Apollo. He just wanted to prove to people that, he's not the same Rocky he was in the beginning of the movie when he's a sloppy boxer. He can barely get money. And the guy who owns the gym that Rocky, that Mick owns and Rocky, he his locker was at the gym, and he fought people at the gym. And in Rocky 5 and Balboa, the gym that Mick worked at, who was he was a gym trainer, it's gone, and he can't accept that the world's not exactly how it was when he was young. He's looking at flashbacks about what Mick told him, and he gave him the necklaces with the boxing gloves. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, and he gets a new outfit. It's now black and yellow. It looks really nice. I like Rocky Balboa. It's basically like Rocky coming out of retirement. It's basically like, if anyone has ever seen Batman Beyond, it's basically like an older Bruce Wayne, and he takes on someone else to be Rocky. Takes someone else to be Batman. Kind of reminds me of that. In Creed, he actually passes the mantle. I'm not going to do a Creed review. It's not a Creed review, it's a Rocky review. But I like all the Rocky movies. They're pretty cool. Even the bad ones are very entertaining. And basically follows the exact same plot, except Rocky Balboa. Yeah. Rocky Balboa might be my favorite Rocky movie. Especially because Jess from Gilmore Girls is in it. Okay, I'm sorry. I know this was a long video, but I just had to get it out there. I wanted to do all the Rocky reviews now, before I forget and I'll have to rewatch them again. Yeah, because that was a long marathon. I mean, trust me, that was a long movie. If people are watching this and they have something to do, you don't have to watch this whole video. I'm just gonna do a specific topic and like and subscribe to the video. If you do like it, that's not actually why I do more videos, but some people actually do. So if you actually want to watch this video, want to know more about the Rocky movies, and just say something that hasn't been said on Sean Taylor, watch this video. Okay, thanks, bye.